Yes! Once again, I'm back. It's the Godfather Tank D. You already know what it is. So you know we're going to have a nice, wonderful topic for y'all today. And we're going to get real heavy, man. So I got a couple special guests in the house. I have one of the favorites who then came back and did another show with us. You already know what that is. We got Mr. Bandclap, a.k.a. Playboy P, a.k.a. We Are Free Band.
What's good?
All right, and I got another special guest in the building today. Now, this particular person is one of the greatest minds that I know personally, and I've had the pleasure of being around my entire life because she is also my aunt as well. But she is also a black businesswoman, CEO of Great Girl Creative. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my aunt, Tanya Gray. All right, so look, we got a lot to talk about today. I mean, unfortunately, we've had some more foolery that's come up. We've already talked about the sexual thing with Malik Yoba. We had to have that conversation. And it seems like there's a lot of attack on just the black family in general, but more so on the men. And now today we got to discuss this conversation that K. Sheldon had on V103. And unfortunately, things have just kind of gotten a little bit out of control. So I'm going to be playing a couple of clips. I'm going to have my guests chime in and talk about a couple of things. But the first thing we got to get into is just going to be K. Michelle has said some things recently that's kind of ridiculous. And one of the first things she said I kind of think is an oxymoron. But we going to talk about it. So let me go ahead and get into the first clip real quick.
Cash Doll,
Yeah.
tell us about it.
Well, it's a fun record.
It is.
Just like fun talking about the type of dudes we like. Like I used to always say I want a dude to have some gold teeth.
Did you really?
And dreads, that's what I thought I wanted.
And what happened?
That's not what I want.
That's not
But
what you want?
I wanted that for a long time. I want a grown man, but he still got to have some hood on him.
Right.
So we got to talk about this, people. So there's this thing now where it's like you want to have the aggressive man, but you also want him to treat you right. And I think that I think most women want a man that is a man and that's willing to protect. But does that man have to be hood? What do y'all think about that?
Okay, so I'm going to look at it from the basis of K. Michelle, right? So if she want a hood dude, that probably lines up with who she is. No shade, no whatever to her. But I think that was her ineloquent way of saying that you want a guy that's able to protect you. And I don't want a hood dude. I want a man that's able to handle himself in the boardroom. And if he needs to handle himself in the streets because someone is coming at us, he can protect us. That's what I want. I don't need him to be a hood dude because I'm not a hood girl. So maybe she's coming from that place of where she is.
I think that's interesting. What you think about that, Rick?
Yeah, piggybacking on what was her name again? Tanny? Y'all excuse me. I'm going
Yeah, he's a little
right
under the
now.
weather right now. We're gonna have to bring his spirits up.
Yeah, but nah, the real problem here, and I feel like this is something that that's not just a black thing, and it is one of the things that we really need to talk about is what is our I'm trying to find the right word. What is our definition of masculine and feminine? That's what I want to say. And not only our definition of masculine and feminine, who taught us what we should see as masculine and feminine? Because just talking about it on a carnal type of standpoint, every woman is gonna look for a man that's gonna protect her, a man that's gonna provide for her, and a man that has that knowledge to not only be able to raise a family, but one that'll be able to, like I say, protect and provide and things like that. Now, the skewed part, especially in our community, is how does he go by doing that? And I blame a lot of that on just the way that we was raised. Is definitely the music. Like I said, the music media manipulation has a lot to do with that. A lot of these little girls are growing up at an early age with this hyper masculine type of influence, and they're thinking that, okay, in order for this man to be able to do all these things, you know, he has to be a gangster. He has to have, you know, selling drugs or making a lot of money doing that. And he has to tote a gun, and, you know, he can't have no type of feelings and stuff like that. But the flip side is a lot of those men tend to be very abusive, and a lot of those type of men aren't balanced.
And they cause trauma. And that actually kind of leads us into this next clip. So I'm gonna play this clip where they actually asked her, I think it was Fransky asked her specifically about her trauma. So check this out.
Let me ask you a question. Because Nina and I were talking about this other day, and Nina made a statement to me. She said, you know what? When people meet each other, they should know, you know, in a relationship, what each other's trauma is, so that you really know the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's K. Michelle's trauma?
Men.
Wow.
The center, I once said, what was the center, like, of my pain, of my
Yes.
life? I didn't have anybody, knock on wood, no one close to me die or anything like that. Everything that I've gone through has been because of lack of self-esteem and men being in the middle.
Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that?
Yes. It's quite a few things in there, but she hit the nail on the head as to why she has her issues with men. I want to back up just a second and go back to Rick's masculine and feminine and your question of wanting these aggressive men. Well, women today, especially us as Black women, we're in a society where they're telling us to be, you know, strong and your boss chicks, all these different things that are very masculine. So we operate in our masculine. We are more often than not the single parent in the household. So you take on the role, quote unquote, as of the mother and the father. So you operate in this masculine. So now you're looking for a man that's even more masculine than you are, because you don't realize that you're masculine. So you're looking for these aggressive men, and that's how it shows up. It's like, oh, well, he's definitely more masculine than me, so I can deal with him. But you really can't deal with him because you're operating in the place that you shouldn't be operating in. And he's coming in not knowing how to handle you at all, because two masculine energy is not going to work. As far as her comment, she literally gave you the context clues to why she has a problem with men. It was her self-esteem.
That's deep. And a lot of women, unfortunately, are suffering from that. Because it seems like it's one of those things, like in her case, she actually had a father in the home, but we hear oftentimes, well, I didn't have a dad, or I didn't have that image to show me, you know, how I should be treated, etc. But in her case, she did. But what I didn't hear was what exactly caused the low self-esteem. Was it the men that she was dealing with? Was it the men that she was picking? Now, one of the things that Rick kind of talked about was, because he's from Memphis, and he was saying that, you know, a lot of people from the hood kind of know her and know what she was about. So, Rick, can you expound on that?
Now, I'm not finna be on here telling people business. Let's get that. Let's get that.
I got you.
Let's get
I
that
got
straight.
you. Hold on. We gotta give it up for Rick for keeping it real.
But I knew of a lot of women growing up in Memphis, and it's a blanketed type of situation. You know, it's like one of those things to where you grow up from an early age. You know, a lot of these women, like I said before, they're growing up very fast. You know, a lot of these women, you know, due to the food that they eat, due to the other things that they've been introduced to, you know, see, my mom back in the day, she used to call them hoochie mamas. You know, they at an early age, you know, 10, 11, 12 years old, they already having sex, they've already grown full bodies and all of this type of stuff. And if you don't have that strong alpha male, as a dad, that's gonna not allow that nonsense to enter the home and all of that stuff, is, in that environment, it's very, very easy for a man, for a boy and a little girl to go astray. Cause like I said before, like, I got homeboys that, they first started having sex at 9 years old, and a lot of the girls, the little girls that they was having sex with, even though they was around the same age, they would tell me like, look, man, she was experienced like a woman. Like I don't know what. And the thing about it is like with us guys, so young, we don't look at it as maybe she was molested, or maybe, it was a situation to where, she got touched as a child, or because none of that stuff should be justifiable. We just looked at it as that. And, that's something in our community that we really, really need to put that microscope on, because, it starts, like I always say, it starts with your childhood. It starts with your childhood,
Nah, I definitely agree with that cold-heartedly. I do think how you grow up is very important, and it's definitely going to have an impact on who you end up becoming. But again, the question is still, what exactly was the thing that caused her trauma in particular? Because again, as she was talking about her family, and I'm going to play a couple clips of that, when she was talking about her family, it seemed like she grew up with, a really good family. She grew up in a healthy environment, so to speak. But yet, when it came down to her actually getting in the industry, she kind of went a different way.
It could have been, it could have been that first love that she had. It could have been just some guy that was insignificant that just took her self-esteem. And from there, she grabbed whatever they may have said or did. And if it was even a guy, but it could have been. And if whatever they said or did to her could have just touched her soul so bad that that's what she grabbed onto. And for all these years later, she's still reeling in that. It could literally take one word from the wrong person or one action, and it can change how you view yourself.
Now, Miss, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I don't know if y'all follow me or whatever. I do a podcast on my YouTube channel, Band Clap TV, and one of my most watched podcasts is talking about the woman's imprint. Now, shout out to Ron Wills, because he was the first one who brought that terminology, at least to me. And a woman's imprint, just meaning that, when it comes to a woman and what she looks for in a man and stuff like that, when it comes to that, at least her first 2 or 3 sexual partners that she had sex with is pretty much going to determine the type of man that this woman is going to look for, especially if those 2 or 3 sexual partners was of a certain stature and stuff like that. And, when they was together, it gave her this sense of euphoria. And, it talks about how all throughout that woman's life, until she finds another archetype of a man, she's going to always be looking for that archetype of man that gave her that feeling. So it might be a situation to where, say she was in high school or something like that, and the first guy that she ended up having sex with was the captain of the football team. And, maybe she was a cheerleader and stuff like that. And, she was kind of the popular girl because, her boyfriend was the captain of the football team. Now, when that girl, goes out in the world and she starts looking for, different men to be with and stuff like that, since that jock, because that's what we call it, since that jock gave her that feeling of euphoria when they was together, she's gonna spend most of her life looking for that archetype of man, whether it's the thug, whether it's, like they say, Pookie and Ray Ray, whether it's Tyrone from up the block, with the keys and all of that stuff. And, you know, when you're in love and stuff like that, you can be blinded to a lot of those triggers to make you look at somebody like, okay, this person might be abusive. This person might have pent up trauma too that they're holding in, but you know, since they're out in the streets, they got to portray a certain image of a thug and all of this stuff. You know, as long as when you're with that man and he's giving you that feeling, you know, that feeling of euphoria, you know, a lot of women, until it's too late, you know, they let a lot of things slide.
But that's the key though, and until it's too late. And this is actually something that K. Michelle said in regards to how she is with her current dude.
Are you
So
in a
I-
relationship now, though?
Yeah, I'm in a relationship
And what
now,
about
and
him?
he has his ways with him. And I'm very cold. I'm very I'm very like
A wall up.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like that.
What does he say about that?
Oh, he just tries to, I think, kind of ignore it.
And I hope y'all caught the ending part, because I thought that was the most important.
Yeah.
Because she said that she's cold with her dude. She admitted that, because of course she's still dealing with her trauma. But at the end, when he asked, okay, well, how does your man feel about it? And she's like, oh, well, he just kind of ignores it. I feel like that's one of the biggest problems that we have, because as men, oftentimes we don't like to deal with problems. We don't like to confront them and actually deal with and fix whatever is going on. We try to pretend like it's just not there and hopefully it just goes away. But that just perpetuates the trauma. It doesn't heal it. So we're not really healing our women, and we're not healing ourselves.
Well, I mean, the way I read through this conversation with her is that they're two hurt people together, because he's allowing her to not love him, and he's ignoring that. So he's hurting. He hasn't healed from whatever trauma he's going through or has experienced, and her as well. She still wants the love of a man, but doesn't want to be present for that love. And that says a lot about them as individuals and what kind of relationship they're having and putting out in the universe, as well as to her son. So
Now, let me go red pill for a moment. My mind ain't all there, but it's slowly coming back. You know, thanks a lot, Tank, for having me on this show. But it was two things that I seen with this. First thing, when she said she hit the wall, that is a really, really big issue, you know, and it's one of those things to where, you know, a lot of women, you know, by design and stuff like that, they're raised to believe that, you know, they can go around and have sex with a lot of these thug dudes and stuff like that. And, you know, Tank, me and you know, we're very spiritual people. So we talk about how every time you have sex with somebody, that's a transfer of energy. And I talk about how every time a woman has sex with a man, she gives a little piece of her soul to that man, and then that man gives a little bit of his essence to her. So, you know, now look at the situation to where it's like, now, you know, she's so traumatized, she's so hurt, she haven't done the shadow work, she haven't done the inner work on the inside to be able to, you know, get to know that inner child, like I talk about, you know, get to know that, you know, her soul and stuff like that. So now, you know, she quote unquote hit the wall, meaning that now she's been traumatized and hurt so much, she got so many of those men, you know, swimming around in her, that, you know, in her mind and in her psyche and in her emotions, it's almost like a toxic waste dump, because none of that, you know, emotions and none of that trauma has been cleaned out. So now when this man comes, you know, which is usually in a lot of cases, this is the man that was put in the friend zone, you know, for all this time and stuff like that. Now, us in the red pill community, we call that the beta male, because ain't no man in his right mind, ain't no man in his right mind about to wait on the woman to get all used up by all of these men, and then, you know, when she finally quote unquote come to her senses, now we have to deal with this super broken, super, you know, toxic alpha type of woman. And
we're going to talk about that.
And one more thing I want to talk about, and the reason why it's like this is because, you know, the more men that she has this, we call it pair bonding. You know, the more men that this woman pair bonds with, you know, the more she gets her heart broken and stuff like that. You know, every other man that she gets with after him and after him and after him, they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller of a piece of her. Till now, you know, now this guy right here, you know, now he has to deal with her the way she is and stuff like that. And, you know, I feel like that's something that we really need to talk about as well.
But then it goes to this, this right. Go ahead.
I feel like it's something on the man's end too. Like, it's not all K Michelle, like, or all the woman that's going through this trauma. I get that some men want to love you through your trauma and all of that, but there's something there with him to want to. He's ignoring it. He's not addressing it. So that's the issue. If he was addressing it, that would be different. If he was addressing it, saying, "Look, babe, you kind of got this wall up. I need you, you know, I need you to be present for me. I need you to love me. I need you to love me this way. What do we need to do to help you through this process?" He's not doing that.
Absolutely.
And that goes back to,
so something in him is we can't overlook that.
And that goes back to, has she ever been taught how to love?
Yes, she has. And we're going to get into that right now. I'm actually glad you said that. So this is what she said in this clip right here.
So then you have an example of a black man then who
Yeah, but you know, I have an example of how men should be.
Yeah.
Because I saw my grandfather raise 8 kids when my grandmama passed. You know, and I never met her.
Right.
I've seen men. So nowadays, that's not the men that I see.
And that's interesting, but then she said this.
how am I supposed to be like, oh, it's good men? Because I don't know them. I haven't met them other than my grandfather. You know what I'm saying? And my father, I don't know those other men.
But we have to ask the question, why?
It goes back to the laws of attraction. You attract what you are.
All right, there we go.
You attract what you are. So it's like, you know, shout out to Tariq Nasheed. I'm not finna come on here and try to make excuses for dusty niggas. You know, we're not gonna do that because we already know, you know, how they operate and stuff like that. So if you're a girl, if you're a woman or whatever, and you see that dusty dude and he might have a flashy car, or he might have a big dick or anything like that, you know, it's one of those things to where you being a grown woman, you know what you getting yourself into when you mess with that man. But see, one thing that a lot of us don't really put into perspective is that you have a lot of women who think that they can change that man. And see, I learned this with the relationship that I just got out of with my ex. You can't change nobody. You can't change nobody. That person has to want to change on their own. And you know, women, you know, they have that nurturing aspect about them. They have that type of, you know, nurturing and wanting to, you know, to be able to be there for that person and stuff like that. And there is nothing wrong with that. But, you know, a lot of women at an earlier age, you know, they have to be able to look at that other type of man, you know, see the alpha that he really is. Because when you really want to take it there, our alpha, you know, us being alpha should really be in our intelligence, you know. But a lot of those guys who got the intellect and they got the intelligence, and instead of them out selling drugs and stuff like that, they was in the classroom reading their books and getting good grades in school. A lot of those guys, like probably the dude that she's with now, they get turned up, you know, for Tyrone, you know. They get turned up because and like I say, it's not more of the woman's fault versus how we've all been raised to look at masculinity and femininity.
And look, we're going to get into this right here because this is something else that she said, which I feel like kind of goes into what you were just talking about. So listen to this.
They just see a black man.
It's hard to raise a man. Like, it really is hard because I see a lot of women fail their sons because I dated them.
Did y'all catch that? Said a lot of women are failing their sons and she's the one that's dating them. I think there's a little bit of truth in that. But I also feel like, again, we have to start talking about the family because it shouldn't just be on the woman.
Yeah.
The men have to be there.
Exactly.
Like, I don't, I feel like you do have some women who are failing their sons, but then you also have a lot of men who aren't there that's allowing that to happen. We gotta hit him with the pump one time. What y'all think about that?
Yeah, I think, you're right. I think there's some truth to what she said. It's she's dated them all. But I think that it's definitely not just the mothers. It is, like you said, the fathers definitely fail their sons, because it is a man teaches another man. Like, you teach your son how to be a man. You teach him the things that you learned as a man, and hopefully his father taught him. A woman can only take her son but so far into that manhood, right? She can tell him, one, how to treat a woman, because she should know that. But maybe if she doesn't know that, she can't teach him that. I will say, when she says that they have failed their sons, I have definitely met some friends, or let me say associates, that believed in raising weak boys. Like, he may be a grown man now, but he's a weak boy on the inside. And where it was things that he would help develop him into being a man, she would take the reins and still baby him and do everything else and create a man now in full form that she doesn't even want to deal with. And now that he's grown or whatever, she wants to make him a man. Like, oh, well, you need to do that, but you didn't teach him that. And his father wasn't there to teach him that, or there was no father figure there to teach him that. So, and I remember I used to tell her all the time, you raising a man you don't even want to be with. You know what I'm saying? And so I get what K. Michelle is saying there, but at the same time, it's not all on the women. But women need to stop making boyfriends out of their sons, because that's not how this goes. It's like, that's the child. You need to instill something in them, allow them to, let him be a man. He was 17. This is just a quick story, real quick. 17 at the time. He had a job that one of her good guy friends that could have gave him that male role model image. He owned his business, saying, he come work for me. You need to be here at 7 a.m. She's going to ask him, he be here at 7:30 so I can take him, bring him to work. And he was like, absolutely not. He can catch the bus, train, it's all kinds of stuff. We live in a major city. Do you know she would get up at 7 to make sure she dropped him off at 7 a.m.?
Wow.
So now you want him to be a man. But that would have made him a man, because he would have got tired of riding that bus. He would have got tired of riding that train. He would have been under a man that's going to tell him how to maneuver, get you a car, get you your license. Because mind you, she's driving him. He ain't driving her. And then she going off to work because he didn't have a license. He didn't want any of those things.
Yeah, and then...
So now he lives up under his girlfriend.
That's very interesting. And another thing that I want to talk about too, back to that point, because I agree with that. I agree with that too, about it shouldn't be a woman's responsibility to raise a son, especially a son to be a man. Now, when that child is little, she can nurture that son, but then once he gets to that certain age where they quote unquote start smelling themselves and stuff like that, even if it's the way I feel, even if it's not the dad, you got to have at least an uncle or a granddad or some kind of, alpha male figure to raise that son up. And see, I've had situations with some of my homeboys that some of their dads was in jail. They was in prison, some of them was in jail and stuff like that. And, that their mom would religiously take them to the jail every week, and that dad would have to still be in that son's life and still raise that son from behind bars. And a lot of these dudes, my homeboys that had that experience, a lot of them are real stand-up dudes, because it's nothing like, and this is just, I'm not trying to say this, bragging nothing like that, but it's nothing like you having a example of how not to be and what not to do, and that be your own flesh and blood. And you can look at that like, yeah, I need to get my act together. I need to do this because I don't want to end up like my dad. But see, you have a lot of women, they try to shield their sons away from their dad. And, with me, with the people that I hang around and stuff like that, because you have a lot of women, they say, oh, the father ain't shit. He's just gonna poison my son's mind and all of that stuff. Me personally, I've never seen that. I've seen street dudes that take real good care of their sons. You know, I got a homeboy right now, you know, that got kids and stuff like that, and he's a street dude, and that kid don't have to want for nothing. But also, you know, he's teaching his son about business. He's teaching his son about, you know, stocks and you know, different things of that nature. So it's like, you know, just because that father might have took a wrong turn in life or something like that, you know, I still don't feel like that's a reason to keep him away from your child.
And do you feel like that causes a situation where there aren't better men? Let's get into this clip.
Wow. All because a teacher, school teacher, she can't even walk. Her husband made her get a bigger butt.
Her husband
and left her
made her
for a younger woman, and now she hitting me because she don't want to die and got a child, a 3-year-old child. Like, how could I possibly, if I'm hearing women coming to me, how could I possibly think that it's better men out there? I don't believe it.
Y'all just heard it.
Okay.
It sounds
So,
like
just like
you know, a bunch of hurt people are hurting people, and you're festering in. Like I was telling Rick and Lexi earlier today, was there's this phenomena, I can't remember the word, but an example of it is like a police officer or a CEO, because they're around criminals all day long, they start to see everyone as either a suspect or a victim. And they can't break that cycle. And that's just, it's a form of trauma. It's a form of PTSD. And being that she's admitting that, you know, I'm around these women all the time who are always talking about how men have hurt them and men have done something wrong. And, you know, like one of the ladies that she referenced was she got this plastic surgery because her husband wanted it and then left her for a younger woman. And now she's getting ready to die. She was on her deathbed. And that's heavy. Yeah. And that in itself can cause a form of trauma. And when you yourself are still hurt and you're still dealing with that, is she the right person to do this?
Exactly.
No, absolutely not. Well, let me see. First off, it's a lot of, like, you can hear the anger in her voice when she talks. There's a lot of in the scenario, as Rick mentioned earlier, she's drawing to her who she is, right? So at her core right now, she is this angry, almost bitter to me, it sounds like, person that she altered her body.
But wait,
hold
that thought for 1 second, because what you're saying, you don't have to think if she's angry, because we got this.
I look at men and I have an anger for them. I see how they make women feel. I have a brand new TV show on Lifetime. My first show I'm producing, and it's helping women get silicone out of their body. I'm paying $200,000 a pop, the network, to help these women. And you should hear the stories, all because of a man.
So she admitted in the clip that she is angry.
Well, but my thing is, how are you angry with someone that, because they didn't hold you down and let the surgeon put this in you. You didn't love yourself enough to say, no, you need to get stepping because I like my ass the way it is. Excuse my French. Exactly. You know, like, no, it starts with self-love. Don't get angry at them because you don't love you. You know, you never love somebody more than you love yourself. And clearly, when you're out here altering yourself to keep a man, he ain't worth keeping. So y'all need to go to square one. This is how 101. This is how we not keep a man.
Now we have another clip that goes into exactly what you just said. As far as, was it for a man or was it something that she wanted to do, or did it have something to do with her low self-esteem?
I did it at first because I already had butt.
Yeah, you already.
I just wanted some more.
So there you go, because they was asking her, okay, what made you decide to go get plastic surgery? Did you do it for a guy or whatever? And she was like, nah, I didn't do it for a guy. I did it because, you know, I wanted to do it. And then they asked her this question.
So that pressure wasn't from the label. That was you.
Yeah, that wasn't them. They paid for it, but they didn't pressure me to do anything. I've never had a body fight with a record label.
So then why did you feel that pressure to do it then? Like,
I just saw it and I thought, because, you know, it was the day of the butt. You know what I'm saying?
So it wasn't like there was someone who, in her case, forced her to do it. She felt like, well, since everyone else is doing it, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do too.
Because she has low self-esteem. She doesn't know who she is. She's a follower. And she doesn't know who K. Michelle is. And the people that's coming to her that did it for other people or did it for themselves thinking that they did it is a low self-esteem issue. I could see the people that had something, if you got a breast augmentation or whatever because something was wrong with your breast. And there are people that just really want to have fuller breasts. Okay. But I don't get that K. Michelle just did it from all of this conversation, from how she feels about men, from how, her saying she has low self-esteem, that you did that just to, because you wanted to do it. It wasn't because of that. It was, your butt at the time wasn't good enough because now they got new butts out here. And I need to compete with the new butts.
Absolutely.
When you love yourself, you're not competing with anyone else. You're being who you are, and you know that someone's going to accept you and love you for who you are.
Right, and she also said that she did it for this.
I need this because this is how these successful girls have this.
Yeah.
So this is my shot. So I want to be successful, and I want to feel beautiful, and I want to be ready to be the perfect artist.
Did it help you?
No, I was like in magazines and things, and on like People magazine, sexiest people. Who cares once the magazine is ripped?
See, and I think she's starting to get that now, but it was originally in her mind, she thought this is what I needed to be successful. What you think about it, Rick?
Now, this is the thing, we have a battle going on. The battle is K. Michelle versus Kimberly Pate. That's the battle. Because there's this BET show called Rules to This Shit. And it talks about how when a lot of these artists, when they get signed and stuff like that, they have to change their name to an avatar. And pretty much that avatar is what the world is going to see them as. So if it's a situation to where, them as a person already had insecurities and different things or whatever, they can use that avatar and pretty much be everything that they couldn't be, in their personal life or whatever. And, once the carousel is over, once the ride is done, and you look back over your life or whatever, shout out to Lizzo, because this is what she's going through right now. This is why she's saying that she's no longer doing music, because it's like, you damn near, in order for you to be in this industry and be as hot and popular, you damn near have to not have a soul. You have to be able to handle hearing little girls and little boys, twerking to your music and acting like they're sucking dick and, all of this stuff. And you have to be able to look at that and it not break you, and that's it. It seems like that's about it she's going through. Now, I got a story, this girl I used to talk to and stuff like that. She was very talented. She had a nice body or whatever, but she didn't really have that Nicki Minaj type of body. And, she wanted to be a stripper. And the thing about it is, she had all the moves, because she had a little pole at the house, so she would practice and stuff like that. So she was able to outdance most of the strippers that was there. But the thing about it wasn't men, it was other women that was coming to her like, look, yeah, you got the moves and stuff like that, but in this game, it's all about who got the bigger butt. It's all about who got the bigger breast and stuff like that. And if she had the money, she was telling me about, she probably would have got breast implants, and she probably would have got butt implants just so she could be able to compete. So if that's how it is in the stripper game, imagine how it is in the female artist game.
Now check this out. We have a clip of her kind of talking about that. So let me play that.
So was there a trigger point? You spoke about the strong male figures that you had in your life. Mm-hmm. Was there like one point in time as you got older that made you have that self-esteem issue where you wanted to alter your body?
I think it was the industry. I think it was just, I was entering that business. Like, I had got my first record deal. And I said, I'm not going to sign this record deal because I was so insecure I didn't have any boobs. So I was like, I'm not gonna sign this record deal until you guys give me boobs and teeth.
Now she said, I'm not signing no record deal until I get boobs and teeth. Tani, what you think about that?
First off, hey, she felt like she had that clout to be like, I'm not signing this deal until you give me boobs and teeth. Hey, like she worked the deal. Not mad at that on the business tip because they could have been like, okay, well, you don't get a deal. You know what I mean? So that was gutsy in a sense, but at the same time, I guess she missed the point. They were giving her a deal with her boobs and her teeth the way they were. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
you didn't need those things in order to be successful. It's sad that you believed it, which now makes it so. But she didn't need those things to be successful. And that's one of the reasons, like now, with all the body shaming, people applaud Lizzo, but of course the injury's still going to come for her. They're still going to try to make her conform. And this is why you don't hear a lot from the India Aries or the tweets. Well, tweet actually conformed. But you don't hear a lot from the people that didn't conform because the industry says, no, you're too positive. You're too normal, too real life. We need you to do this. But I just found it interesting that she didn't see, because, it really does lend to her self-esteem. And it happened before she even got her deal because the deal was at the table and she said, not until my boobs and my teeth are done. So,
it's heartbreaking.
We hustled and got it.
And then you can see too.
It's really sad.
And then you can see too to how she came in the game insecure. And that's the problem.
Absolutely.
She came into the game insecure. So imagine when she got those boobs and then, like Cardi B said, got my bag and fixed my teeth. Hope you hoes know it ain't cheap. And then she messed around and got the ass. So now she's getting all of this attention, all of this validation that she didn't really get before, before she had the implants and stuff like that. And she talked about that too in a different type of interview. It got to the point where if you're already insecure, you can see that attention and it can blind you, because you can think these guys out here really love you. And you can think these guys out here really care about you, but they really just want to smash. They really just want to see, do the ass jiggle or whatever when they're hitting it from the back or whatever. And I feel like that she got ran through by a lot of those type of dudes to the point where she's closed off her heart, and it's very unfortunate.
Yeah, and the sad part is she's in this state of where she is right now and putting up money to put more women in this state. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's fueling this venom and has the right, because she's on this show helping them get the recovery or whatever from what men have done. And it's just a perpetual cycle that she's starting to create. And we already live in it, so it's just sad they're taking this platform, and we need to pay attention, especially as Black people and Black women, that it's not a game out here. These people are setting us up for a complete and utter failure, and we're buying a hook, line, and sinker. So you're out here saying that there's no good man. The average man that you're talking about is a Black man. So you continue to perpetuate the story that there are no good Black men and that we're angry Black women, and you create a avenue to tear this down, to continue to tear down our community. And that's the last place we need to be right now. And there are definitely some great Black men out here. There are great men out here, period, in general, but there are some awesome Black men out here. And I'm sad that she ain't had a chance to experience that outside of her father, her grandfather with me. She's never experienced that in an intimate way. So she might want to flip the switch on how she feel about that, so she can draw some good men to her and start working on herself. She need to hit up April Mason. That's what she needs to do.
Hey, hold on, wait. Hey, shout out to April Mason for dropping gems to these people on relationship advice, for sure.
And then the fact that VH1 is giving her a show.
Yeah.
So she'll be able to spew that trauma and that negativity, just like all of most of these Black shows spew and stuff like that. And the thing about it is, and I talk about this too on my podcast, this system of soulless beings that run Hollywood, that want to see us, Black people not be conscious and not love each other and stuff like this, because I talk about how the Black family is God. Not just the black woman, not just the black man, the black family is God. So you got people from the UK, you got people from all over the world that's gonna look at this show and see that, this hurt black woman, and they may not have the same information that we have about her background. So they're gonna look at that as, oh, maybe all black men, are that stereotype, and maybe these black women need to go with white men or Arab men or men of a different race and stuff like that. And that's not gonna do anything, else but to just mess up the black family like it's already have.
And now I want to get into this because this is actually the clip that actually has most people up in arms right now, where she basically said that she just doesn't think that men are good people. So we're gonna play the clip.
What do you mean? Like, explain that. Like,
I don't think men are good people.
Wait, you think that now? All men?
I don't think they're good people.
Why not?
The reason for that, and I truly believe that, the reason for that is, like, for men to do things that they consider small in the flesh of, like, cheating, you know that's going to destroy your partner, but you do it anyway. That's not a mistake. We've watched the same story over and over again.
Yeah.
And just because I'm a woman, I'm supposed to accept your betrayal.
Right.
Because you're taking advantage of my love for you, and I'm supposed to just be the one behind you riding or dying. I'm not dying with nobody.
Now, what's interesting is she's been hurt, and she's been cheated on, but they asked her this question.
Have you ever cheated in a relationship?
That's exactly what I was about to ask.
Yeah, I've cheated. But I've cheated after I was cheated on.
And there was actually a story that came out a while ago where she had kind of already said that, but it wasn't like somebody had cheated on her and then she cheated. She was with the guy that she cheated on, and then after she cheated, then he cheated. So it's one of those things where it's like, yo, you're constantly perpetuating the same hurt that you felt upon other people
And contradicting yourself in the process.
Exactly.
Like, all the way. I mean, well, wasn't she with Idris Elba? He had a girl, like.
Yeah, and now he's married.
Yeah, but he married that girl, right?
Right.
So my thing is, you can't sit here and say, I'm going to run with you. You got a woman. I'm going to run with you. You ain't no good, but when you get with me, you can't cheat on me. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, you can't expect to put that out and not get that back. So she has to realize that even if he cheated, you should have made the decision at that time. If you cheated because he cheated, you should have been woman enough to say, you know what, you didn't respect his love. You don't deserve my love. Clearly, you wanted what's over there. You go over there and move on with your life. So you don't have to get that karmic back of cheating on him.
Absolutely.
Or you say, you know what, you did that. I don't tolerate that. Do it again. And then, it's over or whatever. But she doesn't see her reactions to things. She only sees what the men do. But she doesn't see her role in this. I don't think she sees her role in this at all. And it's sad to say that's most people. I can't even say that's most women, but that's most people. They don't see their role in it. And oftentimes, yes, it's women because, like you said, we go through a lot of trauma with the different, men that we sleep with and all the hurt that we create through those soul ties. But she's just not seeing it, and she's okaying her cheating. Like, so that doesn't make her a bad person; it makes him a bad person. No, cheating is cheating. Like, why is it different from one to another?
Exactly.
Now, speaking of that, Miss Tanya, I want to ask you a question right quick, because since we have a beautiful black woman,
shout out to the beautiful black women.
I want to ask you this question because I asked this to Alexis earlier. Now, when you say you're walking down the street and you see a guy and he says what's up to you or whatever. Now, is it true that damn near the first 5 seconds, and probably lower than that, the first 5 seconds that you look at that guy, you already know why he came to you and said what's up?
Well, I mean, okay, so I'm gonna kind of answer this in two parts. Like, do I instantly think he's trying to holler to have sex with me? No, that's not where my head goes. Do I instantly think that he's interested in me? Yes.
Okay.
I think that, like, I mean, you know, every dude's end game is a smash, right? You know, every woman on the face of the earth should know that. That's the man's end game is a smash. He's looking at me, he finds me attractive. Okay, I'm not mad at that. So it's what I do between the time of that hello and we smash that makes the difference.
Now, this is the thing. This is another question.
Oh, go ahead.
Now, within the first date, would you say that within that first date, you pretty much know how, after that date, you pretty much know then how far, you know, you're willing to go with this guy? Not, you know, y'all haven't had sex yet, y'all just went on a date. But during that first date, you know, do you pretty much, you know, feel him out to the point where you kind of know how you want to deal with that guy?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's this, Aaron, I have to send this to you. It's this podcast that I watched. The actually, it was funny because the guy was going on a date and sent it to me. And it was, I can't remember her name, but it was a black sister that used to do matchmaking. And she said, you know, it's a kiss quotient. Like, at the end of a date, after you hang out with somebody, if you feel like you can kiss them, then for a woman, that means that we can do more. You know, I look at it as a kiss, keep it kind of PG at the time. Not that I'm going to kiss them at the end of the day. It's like, do I have a longing for this man? So if so, then I know, okay, we can go there.
So
but, you know, it's going to be a couple more dates. There's going to be quite a few more things for me in between that first date and us meeting and you smashing.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but pretty much what you're saying is it's more of like a energy and a vibe type of situation. Like, if y'all are vibing good and y'all got a good conversation and stuff like that, and you know, he's just like, you know, the vibe is good and the energy is good, you know right then, if he tries to lean in for a kiss, you're more likely to answer back with another kiss, is what you're saying.
Yes and no. So me and vibes and energy and good conversation, I mean, I get that with a whole lot of people. So that's not, it has to be that, but I also have to have an attraction to you. Like,
the attraction is there, definitely with the attraction.
You're cool, and we have a great conversation, and we vibe, and you know, our energy is cool. But I'm not feeling you. I'm not sexually attracted to you. So I'm not even thinking about you in that this kind of quotient way. You know, and I'm gonna keep it PG because my nephew on here. But it's been very rare that I met someone that I'm like, oh, I want to kiss him at the end of the night. But what he did was stimulate my intellect more than anything else. Some stuff is just conversation.
Okay. Now, why would you say that you're not the type of woman to be able to look at a dude and just cause he come up to you and he's like, yeah, what's up, baby? And he got all these, he's buff, he got these muscles, and you know, you can look in his eyes and tell what he want. Why would you say you won't just hop in his car and just go to bed with him right then? Why would you say that you're not that type of woman?
Because I have standards. I mean,
wait, that's heavy, because we not seeing that like that in mass numbers. So I think we need to hit them with the pump real quick. It's called standards, ladies and gentlemen. We gotta hit them with the pump one time.
Yeah, I don't think K. Michelle has standards. If we're putting this back to her, she doesn't have standards. Is why she keeps dealing with the dudes that she's dealing with. I have standards. I have very high standards. So, you know, and it's not impossible standards, but they're high standards because I love myself. And there's certain things that I want in my life that I don't want my family to be, you know, bring into my family. I'm protective. And I'm protective of my heart and the people that are around me. And you need to be able to rise to that occasion. And I need to see that. And oftentimes we as women in this whole dating game, you buy into there's no good men, there's nothing available, especially for a black woman. If you want black love, now you got to cross over. None of that's true. All you need is one. You don't need all the men in the universe. You need one. So I like to believe that
now, the reason why I asked you...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, my bad. So, ma'am, the reason why I asked you these questions because there's an underlying factor that you said, you know, within pretty much the first sentence of your last answer. And it's a common denominator when we're talking about not only K. Michelle, but when we're talking about a lot of women that ends up falling in that same position that K. Michelle is in. And that's self-love. That's the main thing, you know. So if you're insecure, that's an oxymoron. You can't love yourself and then be insecure, you know, in the same breath, because the meaning of self-love is being comfortable in your own skin and loving your flaws.
I agree with that 1000%. And actually that kind of leads into this next clip, because my thing is, if you don't really love yourself, it's hard for you to love someone else. Exactly. But on top of that, it's hard for you to love someone that you're raising if they are the image of something that you do not like yourself. So we about to get into this next clip.
So how is that raising a man then? Because you have a son who's turning 16.
That's why I don't want to raise another one.
Golly.
Yeah, man, that's heavy. That's heavy. But here's the next thing she said, though.
Like I'm struggling. He has took off with a white girl.
Wait,
as pro-black as we are.
Rewind. What you mean he's taking off with a white girl?
I get a phone call from my mama like, yeah, Chase said he could go on this date with some white girl. I said, okay, we got unity. It's all good.
Right.
But I didn't tell him he could go anywhere.
We gotta talk about this part, because one, she said that she definitely don't want to have a black son, which means that if she had the option, she would have never had one. But then on top of that, she went on to say that, oh, well, now, you know, my son is dating white girls. But if your mom doesn't have that love for you, and it's hard for, and that's something that you're going to start to disdain black women after a while, because you start to feel like your mom doesn't love you. So therefore it's like, okay, well, if I don't love my mom, I'm not going to love anything that looks like my mom. So therefore I'm going to go look for something else. Let me hit him with the pump real quick.
And this is the thing, I'm going to add this too. Also, numerous times she's talked about that she loves white men. That's why she was so happy about that Jack Daniels thing. She's like, yeah, I'm working for Jack. You know, and she's talked about that, you know, how she loves white men and stuff like that. But see, there's always been this misconception that no matter how bad we treat our black sons, we get pissed off when they just say, fuck this, and they just end up going to another race. And, you know, with me dibble-dabbling in the red pill community, looking at the MGTOW community, the black pill, the ITMOR, SYSBM, they all sound, you know, like they've been traumatized by their mother a lot of times, and even other black women that they've been with in the past. So a lot of them, they're getting their passports and they're going overseas to look for love. Now, you know, there's been an uproar, you know, in that community. There's been an uproar when it comes to black women, because they're like, yo, you know, y'all are traitors and y'all over here getting with these white women and these Arab women and these Asian women and stuff like that. And when you talk to a lot of these black men, you know, you get them by themselves and you talk to them, a lot of situations, they're like, look, you know, I love black women, but it's one thing that not only a man, but an alpha male expects from their woman, and that's femininity.
I agree with that 1000%. What do you think about that, Tanya?
I absolutely agree. I mean, I kind of touched on it earlier when I mentioned Miss April Mason, because she really does help you. And granted, I mean, I have myself been in my masculine quite a bit when you're running business, when you're climbing that corporate ladder. It's very easy for us to get into, especially as black women and being a single mom, our masculinity role and not even realizing that you're there. You know, I have friends that don't realize that that's where they are. They're there 100% of the time and wonder why you're manless. Well, it's because a masculine man ain't going to want to be with a masculine woman. And it doesn't matter what sex you are, what you prefer. There's always masculine and feminine energy. So we as women need to catch a clue and revert back to our femininity, you know, and Black women have it the hardest because we're just so lost in that. We just operate in that masculinity for so long that we don't even remember how to be feminine.
Now, Miss Tanya, I want to ask you something since you're definitely a businesswoman and you know you operate in that type of arena. You know, shout out to the business that you have and stuff like that. Now, would you say
Great girl creative, just saying that. Just throwing that out there. You know, hold on. Just by the way, the business that he is referring to is Great Girl Creative. Back to your regular schedule program.
really? But yeah, so I kind of want to do one of those laughs that people are gonna want to make memes out of. So that's why I was like,
Okay.
But
all right.
but nah, yeah, I'm really trying to get through this, y'all. But so the question that I want to ask you is, do you think that women, you know, they're going into the corporate market where they have to put on this masculine face in order to be respected in that type of market? You know, do you really think that has, you know, a little bit to do with, you know, a lot of women having this toxic masculinity or whatever, you know, to the point where if they do have a husband and when it's time for them to go home and unwind, a lot of those type of women, you know, they bring that masculinity to the house, you know, and then especially, you know, don't let them be the breadwinner, you know, the one that's making the most money and stuff like that, you know. So what do you think about that, since you're a business owner and stuff like that?
Well, I think that, yes, I think women feel like they have to play this hard persona and act as if a way the man would act in business in order to get ahead. But that's false reality, because you actually get more by being in your feminine. The average place. So I'm gonna rewind in my own personal life. So when I moved to the DC area, I applied for a job, and I went into an interview. It was a man there, was the lead guy, was made known that he was the boss, and there were also 2 women. So I had a choice to make. So do I go in here and act like I'm just this supreme being and strong and all of that, or do I play my role, which is feminine, and win him and these women? Because they were 2 white women. So white women aren't as aggressive in the business world as Black women. Mm-hmm. And so I played that role, and before the end of the interview, I had a job.
You said when you played the feminine role or the masculine role?
The feminine role. I played my role because I could tell he was a very masculine man. Now, if he wasn't a masculine man or alpha male, I still had to play my feminine, but I would play it in a way to where it would be just enough assertiveness for him to be kind of turned on, if you will. Because a beta man needs a woman to be a little bit more assertive, but not aggressive. So when he was an alpha male, I realized that I played my femininity. It got me the job. It got me in the government. You know what I'm saying? This man would jump through hoops for me because I was feminine. Like, what do you need? Oh, okay, well, you want more? Let's pay you above the minimum. So something that government doesn't normally do, he was willing to do for me, moving mountains to make sure that I became a government employee. But I operated in my feminine because I didn't want to compete with him. I'm not in a competing place. And what I realized from that is that I don't have to ever be in that competing place. If I just operate in my feminine, I'm going to win the room regardless.
I swear, Miss Tanya, you need to go ahead and make a seminar about this. Go ahead and make you some classes.
I mean,
you know what? I am truly attributing this to, and this is why it's important of who you hang around. Because you pick up different energies and things like that. And I got some very wonderful, strong friends that have made some significant headway in their life at very young ages. But it's also a very aggressive, more masculine-driven energy, and I saw myself over the years kind of changing the more I hung around that energy. So now I've kind of been pulling myself back to get back to, okay, well, wait a minute. We operate in the feminine. Let's do that. Let's graduate. So Miss April Mason has really reminded me of how to be. So, and I'm learning, in this whole CEO game that you don't have to have that fight. I'm not competing with you. I'm here for me. You know what I'm saying? What's mine is mine. I'm just coming to conquer what's mine. And I can do that being completely and totally who I am in my femininity. So.
There go the game right there, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. There it is. Now, I wanna kind of shift gears for a second. So, going back to the K Michelle topic, right? The last thing that we talked about was that she's raising a son. Okay, and now her son is dating outside of the race, which she's not too fond of. And now it's like, okay, if her son was actually dating black women, would he be good for black women because he doesn't have a good relationship with his mother?
So I'm gonna go with, well, one, she's probably not even processing. He's going to white women because he don't like what he see at home. And because a son's first love is his mother. Like, that's automatic. Just like a daughter's first love is her father. When you bring home something that don't look like you, that's a problem. Right. And Aaron, I mean, God knows if you would have thought Alexis and Tara were dang near sisters. As much as you love your mother, that girl is an example of the love that you have and the respect that you have for your mother.
Right. Absolutely. And shout out to my beautiful wife.
Yes, you do. Absolutely beautiful wife. And for you to not, you can't say that you're not okay with it because you don't even think your son is good. So why not just let him go over here and be with the white girl? But guess what he's going to be to her? He's going to be good because she knows how to treat him. She's been reared to be able to be in her feminine, to be able, to be taken care of. Most of them. I'm not going to say all because I don't want to lump everybody together. But most of them, that's how they're reared. Because, typically as a black woman, you're reared to, you're raised, as they say, raise your girls, love your boys. So you don't get that whole, okay, open doors, take care of me, do these things. He's going to be a different man with her. And the reason why he's going that way is because he wants to be a different man. Well, he's back over here with his black mama that's angry because for him, all black women are angry because look at my mother. I don't want that. I don't want that kind of love. She don't love me right. I'm going to go over here to this white girl. She'll love me right. He don't know it, but he's assuming that she is. And if she loves him bad, guess what? It ain't as bad as a black girl going to treat me, so I'll stay over here.
Now, I agree with most of what you said. The only thing I didn't agree with was when you were saying that the white girl was going to treat him better, and when you said that the black son is going to be a better man. And the reason why I disagree is because, if a man lacks that nurturing, aspect of his mother, he's going to go out in the world, with that traumatized, type of spirit, looking for that nurturing. And since he didn't get it at home, especially if he didn't get it at home with his own race, even if he goes out and try to go with another race, even if he gets the type of femininity that she's willing to give him,
He's still gonna be toxic.
Exactly, because she's gonna want him to be alpha.
So let's get into this clip real quick.
To see girls come up to me, I'm the girl they come up to all day long crying. They tell me the most disgusting of stories that I couldn't even believe. And a lot of times men, the wrong man, will stunt your growth as a woman.
What do y'all think about that? Because going back to what you were saying earlier, even if he dates outside of the race, because he doesn't have love for his mom, which would in turn cause you to not have love for women to some degree, then he's going to be that toxic man that is stomping women's growth, as she just stated.
Well, let me just clear up a little bit, because I do agree with what you just said, Rick, but I'm saying that in the hypothetical sense that he may believe that she would treat him better. I'm not saying that she will, because we don't know that. I'm saying in the hypothetical sense, he's probably thinking in his brain that I don't get the love over here from my black mother. It's angry. It's this, is that. This one right over here is going to treat me better. But I agree with you. It's going to be toxic all the way around.
And
I do agree with that.
Thanks a lot for that. And
so I'm just thinking that in his mind, he's thinking that love will be better. Not that she will. But I agree that the wrong man or the wrong woman, because I mean, we're talking about the man because she's talking about the man, but I think the wrong person in your life can, cause that trauma. And, some people's lives can implode. I've seen grown women's lives implode by the wrong man or wrong woman being in their lives, being in their lives. So I agree with that statement that she said there. I would give her that much.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Again, based off of what we just heard in the last clip, where, if her son is toxic, then he's likely going to be toxic to other women, in which case that's going to stump women's growth, and he's going to be the wrong man. But don't forget, she said this.
They just see a black man.
It's hard to raise a man. It really is hard, because I see a lot of women fail their sons, because I dated them.
And that's what she's doing right now. Is she not?
Yeah. She's absolutely failing her son. She's perpetuating what she hates most. So, and she's creating, my thing is, K. Michelle hasn't owned anything in any of this. Like, in this whole conversation, she hasn't owned, okay, I chose some bad men that treated me horribly, and I need to do better by my son because I don't like these men. She's not owning that, okay, the women that didn't do right by their sons, I dated them, so let me do right by my son so another woman doesn't date that. She's literally adding to this cycle. And then on top of it, she now got a show that's going to keep perpetuating this foolishness. Like,
Exactly.
I'm all the way in my feelings because we keep destroying each other. And it's just stupidity to me. Like, I cannot watch reality shows without us just literally giving them everything every freaking stereotype they want to believe about us, we're giving it to them.
Absolutely. Rick, you want to say something?
She pretty much hit the nail on the head, with that. And I agree with that too.
So
it all starts. Huh?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, it all starts in the home. It all starts with that, because another thing that I want to touch on too, I'm glad I caught this thought. But imagine him, he's 16 years old. So he's watching TV, he's listening to the radio. So he's looking at his mom, with all of these different men, and he's looking at these interviews, with his mom talking bad about men, and he's looking at the way she dresses, and he's looking at the way she carries herself and stuff like that. And I bet, in school, he probably gets ridiculed a lot too. Like, yo, look at your mama, look at your mama ass, she got a fat ass. Like, look at your mama. And that's another type of trauma when it comes to people that's in the industry, and their children. That's why I shout out to Jaden and Willow Smith, because it was a lot of things that when they were young, Will and Jada Smith made sure that they was kept away from certain things about the industry. And then for the most part, they made sure that they had a really good, that they led a really good example for their children. They wasn't out there, dressing all scantily clad and doing all of this crazy stuff. And I applaud them for that. But a lot of these children, and I talk about this in my Michael Jackson podcast, talking about Michael Jackson, a lot of these children are introduced to certain stimuli that they're not supposed to be introduced at an early age, simply because, they got kids and they're not really in their kids' life the way they would probably want to be because of show business.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely something that, her son is going through, when, like you said, is another form of trauma, and now he's getting a double dose of it because he has to deal with being a celebrity kid on top of all the baggage that is being put on him from his mom. And I would also argue, you know, the dad. Where's the dad at in this whole thing?
Exactly.
Where is dad?
Exactly.
Because I think that's a good question.
Well, clearly the dad. I don't know if he's not in the picture or not. I have no wherewithal on that. But I want to go back to Rick. You said that women, you know, they have these children by these men or whatever, and then they turn around and they don't want the child to be dealing with the father because basically the father ain't shit. Well, I have a saying with that. Now, granted, you know, I'm a single parent, and my daughter's father made the choice not to be in her life. It was not my decision for her at all. And granted, I was young, so I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there. I was young, so I did not have the capacity to think through the process of who I was choosing to be my daughter's father, because that would have been a different story. But as a grown woman, I've seen grown women, you know, 30 plus, even 20, I think anything over 25, you're a grown woman. You should be able to make some sound decisions, choose men that they know aren't good for them and have a baby by them, right? So then you turn around and you want to be mad because he don't show up for the child and say he ain't shit. Well, who were you when you knew that he wasn't shit? So to me, you weren't shit when you chose him. And now you chose that for your child and you want to put that anger and everything else on your child. So if she's not showing up for her son and the father not showing up for her son, who is? So is the white girl now going to show up for her son?
And see, I can respect what you said, you know, when you talked about the situation with you being a single parent. The main reason why I can say that I respect it over K. Michelle is because there's another thing that you did that a lot of today's women, when they get in these situations, you know, they overlook this, and that's self-accountability. You know, you was accountable about, you know, your part in it, his part in it, and all of that. You know, it wasn't just a one-sided type of situation. So, you know, I respect that you had that self-accountability to be like, look, I was young. I knew I shouldn't have made the type of choice that I did, but, you know, I stood up and I, you know, womaned up, and, you know, I'm the best, you know, mother figure to my child. And I know that you didn't raise her up to believe that, you know, the reason why things are going the way they are is because of, you know, lack of a father being at home. You just pretty much took that mantle and you just, you know, did the best that you could, and seeing how successful that you and, you know, your daughter is, it's a testament to, you know, the right way that this can happen. Because I'm not gonna say that all men, you know, would want to be in their child's life when they, you know, because you got dusty niggas out there too. But, you know, it's those women like you who can be the success stories. And like I said, you should really like think about doing like a seminar or a class, you know, about this, because, you know, this is one of those success stories that we need to hear more of on a major, you know, type of avenue.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You know, I think it's definitely one of those stories that people should hear. And one of the things I can say that, you know, my mom and my aunt always said was, hey, this is the situation we're in, and we don't want y'all to do it this way. We want y'all to do it the right way. We want y'all to wait before you have kids, get married, actually figure out who you are first before you start bringing life into the world, and before you start truly, you know, attaching yourself to someone else. Make sure you're comfortable with you first. And of course that requires you doing the work. But again, this is why, like, when people say, oh, well, you know, if you was born or if you grew up in a single parent home, then you ain't gonna be, you know, you ain't gonna be shit. But it's like, that ain't necessarily true. It all depends on how you were raised and the environment that you was in. If you was in a toxic situation like what she clearly is in, then it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, well, then likely you probably gonna turn out the way you turned out, you know. But if you're in a more loving environment, because I can never say out of my mouth that I didn't come from a loving family all around. You know, that's just how it was. And it's one of those things where you can see it, because now the love that I got, now I'm sharing it with everyone who's around me. You know, and I think that's one of the things that people kind of overlook and they underappreciate how important that is.
And see, I can piggyback on that too, because you know, you do have the other stereotype that just because you grew up in a house where your mom and dad was in the house, everything was just hunky dory and everything is cool.
Right.
And I can really say in my situation, I came from a two-parent home with my mom. You know, she was in her divine feminine. My dad, he was in his divine masculine. So I was able to see both of those archetypes, you know, work together. But I'm not gonna sit up here and say that my life was just hunky dory. Like, it was a lot of issues where, you know, my mom and dad was, you know, not physically fighting, but they was, you know, arguing. And, you know, a lot of times my mom wanted to leave my dad. You know, a lot of situations like that happen, you know, in my home. But it was a very valuable thing that my dad would always tell me, like, because, you know, a lot of times they'll be arguing in these real heated arguments and stuff, and I would be like, you know, still in the house. My dad would tell me, he's like, look, son, you know, no matter what you hear me say to your mama, I still love your mama. And, you know, we love you, and we're always gonna love you. And the one thing that I don't want you to ever do is to pick sides. And that's one thing that I really took to heart. So that's why it's like with me, you know, I can look at things from both perspectives and see things in a more holistic type of way, because the way I was raised up, you know, not to pick sides, not to pick my mom over my dad and all of that type of stuff. You know, I was raised to love them equally for who they were.
Yeah, that's heavy right there. That's heavy. I wanna shift gears one more time. You know, because one of the things that was said in this interview was, you know, K. Michelle wanted to be protected by her men, black men in particular, and I feel like as a black woman, she should want that. And that's something that should happen. I don't think that's debatable. But then there's also the other side of it, where when you have a woman who says that I don't think men are good people, and, you know, there's been moments where she's come out and said that, you know, like, men ain't shit and all this or whatever. And it's like, yo, is this the type of person that I want to protect? But let me get into the clip real quick.
I went to JJ's yesterday. I wanted to go to Campbellton.
Yeah.
And they like, "Hey, you finna get it?" Yes, I am. And I went back there with the dudes in the back, and young dude asked me, he said, where your security? Where you at? I said, well, sir, how old are you? I said, why are you asking me for just security? You supposed to secure me. You the black man.
Yeah.
Like, why I gotta be scared around you? You supposed to protect babies and men.
I agree with that statement in a general sense. My problem with that is, based off of the things that she said, the question is, and I want to direct this to Rick first, and I'm going to shoot it to Tanya. Rick, do you feel like when you have a woman who has been out and say, you know, black men ain't this, black men ain't this, black men ain't this, but when something happened, black men come protect me, do you feel like that's the right move to make? Or is it like, nah, like you got to hold yours on that one? Since we ain't this, then we gonna be that, at least when it comes to you. What you think?
Yeah, I feel like that's really an issue, because we just had a situation that happened not too long ago where this guy named Muhammad, you know, he was sick of these Asian men and women disrespecting these black women in his nail salon. And the thing about it was, like, he got so pissed off that he went in there and he was like, yo, you need to treat our black women better and all of this stuff. And he started, like, you know, busting out the glass with bricks and stuff like that. And it broke a lot of our heart to see that those black women didn't really give a fuck about the gesture that he did, even though he thought, you know, in his heart of hearts that he was protecting his black women. And he pretty much put his life on the line. He put his
freedom on the line.
Put his freedom on the line and all of that. You know, it's a good thing that the community that was rallying behind him got him out. But then, you know, he did a follow-up video where he went back into that nail salon, and even though it was boarded up, he still saw black women in there getting their nails done, getting weave and all of this stuff. And the thing about it is, this isn't the first time that something like this happened. And I know for me, just talking about me as a man, it only take one time for you to insult my gesture of protection or whatever. It only takes one time, because with being a black man in America, we have a lot to lose. We can literally go outside and, get racially profiled, by a cop and end up dead in the street. Like, we don't really have a lot of instances as black men in America where we can really show our masculinity like that. So when those black women did that disrespectful thing, it was like, we don't care, and all of that. Some of those black women was arguing with him like, we don't care, and all of that. It makes us look bad as a people.
Absolutely.
It makes us look bad, and the thing,
off code.
Yeah, they're off code, and it's one of them things to where, it's not just the nail salon. It's a lot of instances where black men try to go to the black woman rescue with different things, and then
the black dude on the train where dude was trying to fight the woman or whatever. White dude was he was fighting the black woman, and the black dude came up there and put the paws on him, and they like, oh no, don't do that, don't hurt him. And it's just like, yo, like what are you talking about? He was just beating on the sister, and now everybody just standing there recording and everything. And then when a black man come up and say, nah, I'm gonna stop this and do it, now he's in the wrong, and they looking at him crazy.
Yeah, so it's getting to the point where we're like, how many times are these black women going to disgrace us and disrespect us like that? And it gets to the point where, just like we're talking about, immigration and stuff like that, shout out to Tariq Nasheed again, a lot of us got that attitude where we're like, okay, black women, if you want to be strong and independent, we gonna let you hold your own nuts, so to speak. We're gonna let you hold your own ovaries. Because it's like, when we try to break our neck for y'all and risk our life for y'all, it's like a lot of women, not only do they not appreciate it, a lot of black women don't appreciate it. The reason why they don't appreciate it, because they've never really had a situation at home where they saw, strong black men protecting their black women and stuff like that. They're raised to believe that they gotta be strong, they gotta be the warrior, they gotta be, on all this stuff. But then it's like,
you would think when they see it, it'll make them appreciate it more, because it isn't something that they see every day.
Yeah, I would think so. But then it's like one of them situations to where, and I'm not going to say all women, shout out to Zoe Williams, some but not all, some but not. But, there are women to where when it comes to another black man doing something to them, they can be all rah-rah and all of that. But then when it comes to that black man who's had enough, who's in a toxic, situation mentally and emotionally and physically himself, and he puts his hands on the black woman, now she's crying foul. Like that situation to where that woman was talking all that shit to the bus driver, and the bus driver hit her with the scorpion uppercut.
Yeah, I remember that.
You going to jail now?
I remember that. So look, I want to hear Tanya's perspective on this from a woman's standpoint. How do you feel about it?
Okay, wait, I want to rewind. But actually, I remember when that bus driver uppercutted that woman, and he was with his wife, but she spit on him.
Yeah.
Like, let's not forget that.
Yeah.
She was popping off at the mouth, and he was fine with her popping off at the mouth. But when she spit on him, that's when he lost it. And I don't blame him, because I would have lost it too. But okay, first let me just say, hey, please defend my honor. Please fight any and everybody for me, because I need that. Like, I need that level of protection from a black man. I am not going to shun that at all. It's sad that this man wanted to protect us black women and went and risked his freedom, and they're right back in that store. So it gives to the power of, we don't know who we are, and the power of our dollar. Because I personally, if I had known they were being disrespectful to me, I would have never went back. It's 1,000,001 nail salons that I could go to and get better customer service. Granted, more than likely it's going to be another Asian salon.
Fun fact, there was a black nail salon right down the street.
See if you can't find a black salon, but I wouldn't be going back to that one, because that one has shown me who they are. So why would I keep spending my money with someone that don't like me? That doesn't make sense. So there's a lot of again, we're missing some self-love, a little bit self-hate over there that you would do that. And this man goes to that length of trying to protect us. I agree with Rick. Like, if I was a man, a black man, and I, go out of my way to protect a black woman and she refuses that protection, I wouldn't be so quick to continue to do that. I will say, however, y'all remember that McDonald's incident?
Which one? Because there's been several.
There's been a lot where the white man grabbed that black girl and she went in and started hitting him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she put the paws on dude.
Right. I won't lie. I have absolute problem with every last black man standing around there not wanting to come to her aid. If nothing else, to push that man back and say, "Oh, wait, you're doing too much."
Yeah, that's how I felt too when I saw that. I was wondering, like, why aren't the men doing anything? That don't even make sense to me.
But you know what, Aaron? It made it seem like it never even dawned on them to. That was what was scary to me.
Yeah.
It seemed like it never occurred to them to come to this woman's rescue and say, "Hold on." Even because they could have interjected before he put his hands on her and say, "Look, sir, you got to leave." I'm expecting I'm going to be wrong. I'm expecting for the white man out there done that. Because they typically aren't looking out for us in that way.
Right.
And I see that just in the stuff that I do. I show houses. And like tonight I had two white guys, very nice, whatever, but it was dark when I was closing up the house. They were like, "All right, see you later." Let me make sure she get to her car. And I had to, I chuckled. I was like, well, thank God I got Mace, because they move on. They don't care nothing about if I make it safe. But I've definitely been out with black men and they make sure that okay, you're good. You all right? You in your car? Good. All right, see you later.
Well, see,
so I appreciate it. I truly appreciate it. I like that. I like that our men are being men, but I also was reared by a strong black man that was protective of his children. So that ain't foreign to me, and I'm glad that it's not foreign to me. And I hope that the women that it's foreign to that hear this podcast, please allow that. Allow a man, if you're bogged down with bags or whatever, and they want to help you, it's okay. You can let them help you. I mean, if you feel like he's creepy, then sense that and follow that. But if you feel like he's genuinely want to help you, let him. Like that's what they want to do, and we always want to try to have it all. We can't have it all. It's a lie. We can't have it all. Let somebody else help you. It's okay.
And I'm glad that you said that, because that kind of goes into the which is pretty much a opposite of K. Michelle, the interview that Fantasia did on the Breakfast Club. And the thing about it is a lot of feminist women were up in arms because they was talking about because Fantasia, she was talking about how, look, if I want to be a queen, I need to be submissive so that, my king can do his duty as a king. And just because, I'm stepping back and letting him do his thing, letting him do his role, that doesn't make me weak. That doesn't make me, less of a woman or whatever, because I got this man protecting me and teaching me and stuff like that. And I love the fact that, well, I don't love this, but you had a lot of women who was talking about, well, the only reason why the situation is like this is because he's teaching her how to read, and then you had situations where they were talking about, well, she got more money than him and all of that. But I love the fact that I found out later that he actually told her to put him in a prenup. And I thought that was something very, very profound, because the fact that he told her to put him under a prenup, it goes to show you how genuine his heart really was to her. Like, look, I love you. I don't love your money. You can have your money. I don't even want your money. I just want to be with you. I want to be that king, that you need, that king that you've been yearning for. So you won't have to do all of this stuff, having to be every woman and all of that. And you can just focus on the things that you need to focus on, like your music, and stuff like that. And that's why I said, I can't wait for this new album that Fantasia got coming out, because I can feel her energy. Her energy is so different.
Oh yeah. And you can see it. Like, I actually saw her at the BET Awards, and she just had a different glow about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was there or not, but she stopped and just, talked to people to the point that her sister was like, "We got to make this flight." And she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go." But you can tell. I mean, she's loved, and when you love yourself, number one, and then you get that love back in form, in physical form, you can do amazing things. I mean, look at Sierra. You know what I'm saying? Like Sierra and Russell, everybody want to down that relationship because they're going to come for Fantasia and her man now because we like destructive crap.
Yeah,
so
I don't like
everybody
the fact that they keep bringing up their past.
Offset did what he did, cheated on her. He didn't care about his family when he cheated on her. You like, Cardi, take him back. Everybody was down on Cardi, but why wasn't nobody rallying for Cardi, putting him out? Because he knew what he had to lose. Right, exactly. But then you go for Russell, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, how did she go? She really want a thug." Well, maybe the thug was the anomaly. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Future was the anomaly. She really wanted a good dude because it seemed like her and Russell were hanging, and she good, and she rising above this foolishness. And having met Sierra, I know that Future was an anomaly because that wasn't even in her spirit.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
And she got caught up behind that
relationship. And they
Russell was the kind of
just
guy
fucked around and had kids.
Yeah, it looked like it was an industry relationship.
Just like I feel like Offset and Cardi B are an industry relationship.
Absolutely.
Because think about it, the Migos, they're not as hot as they was during Bad and Bougie. I'm not saying that they're falling off, but the reason why, you're even hearing anything about the Migos is because of Offset and Cardi B.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's sad that that's the state that we're in, where we would celebrate a dysfunctional relationship and curse one that is a good one, that is really truly an example of what love should be and how love should act amongst the relationship. We don't celebrate that. So, like Fantasia said, like she submits to her husband, but her husband also submits to her. And I believe Fantasia was broke when she got with him, so it wasn't really about money things. She still was making that paper, but she had some financial issues.
Yeah, and he helped her out with that too. He taught her about investing her money, like the things that she needs to do financially and all of that stuff. Like he taught her a lot of things.
Yeah, and I think that's super important because we do have something called a racial wealth gap, and it's worse for the women. In fact, it's so bad that to kind of change things a little bit. I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but when it comes down to you getting a surrogate mother, the amount that you would get or the amount that a black woman surrogate would get versus a white woman or Asian woman or Hispanic woman is night and day. And this is actually something that she had touched on in her interview. Let me play this clip for you real quick.
Well, I've had like several surrogates, like, they send you a pack. You know what I didn't like about the pack, y'all?
What?
All the black women were like $65,000, and the other women were at least $10,000 to $15,000 more.
That's heavy. So, I mean, we already have this epidemic where there is a huge increase of single mothers, but then on top of that, there's the wealth disparity that goes along with that. So when it comes to getting in a relationship, we understand that in a relationship, one of the most important things is the money, is the finances. And if that's not together, and that's not something that you quite understand, then the relationship is likely to be doomed. Yeah, and luckily in Fantasia's state, in her case, she was able to get with a guy who was like, hey, listen, this is what you need to do to help you out when it comes to this money thing. This is how you need to invest it. This is how you need to flip it. This is how you can grow it. But a lot of people don't have that. They don't get that conversation, with their spouse of all people who can actually give them that game on, hey, this is what we need to do with the money.
Now, piggybacking on what you were saying about the surrogate mothers and stuff like that, I feel like and shout out to Coach Greg Adams, because he actually on his channel he talks about the different stats and stuff like that, but it's showing that a lot of women that are in corporate America, they're exploring that option along with in vitro fertilization. They're exploring that option a lot more in this day and time, because think about it, in a woman's more fertile years, she's in school the whole time. She's getting her degrees and she's getting her certifications and stuff like that.
She's building her career.
Yeah, building her career. And then, once she get in her 30s, to the point where it's like, okay, I got everything set up. I got everything. So now, once I'm in my 30s, 35, 36, now I need to go ahead and get a man and start a family and stuff like that. And you know, stats show that women are more high risk. The pregnancies are a lot more high risk, you know, the older a woman waits, you know, to have children, because, you know, I think it was from what 16 to 25 or something like that a woman is in her most fertile years, you know. So that's an issue that we have to talk about too. That's why I asked you what I asked you, Miss Tanya, about that, you know.
Yeah. I honestly don't even know if I have an opinion about the co-surrogacy. I mean, I think one of the things I think we do typically as women, especially now with this whole, you know, climbing the corporate ladder, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm definitely not saying there's wrong with that. Is we hold off on life until we feel like we're ready, and then you expect life just to show up. So
Exactly.
You could be 35, 36, 37, 40. And like, oh, well, you know, now I have my career, I'm ready for my husband and my babies. And that's not how this works. You know, we need to really, because mind you, you're operating your masculine in that way. Because a typical man will tend to do that. If he hasn't gotten to the place where he wants to be, will not settle down yet.
Exactly.
So if you're operating your masculine in this corporate world, you're going to do exactly as they do, but they don't have a biological clock ticking. You do. Your body is going to be more receptive at a younger age to be able to produce healthy babies and not have a lot of trauma to it than it is in later years. So if you were operating your feminine, you will realize I can have all of this because my mate is going to come in and is, you know, we're doing it the right way, you know, not just picking a dude and having a baby. But if you're operating and thinking of your career, you can think of your career and advancing your career and build a relationship and get married and build a family. You can do all of that. You really could. But we are taught not to do that. We're taught to go at it. Let me not say we're taught that way. We have seen, visually we're taught that you need to go about it this way. Go get your paper, go do all that. Now come back, get your husband and your kids. Well, guess what? The husband that you want to probably marry back when he was in his mid to late 20s or his mid to late 30s, and you're 40 and change and you're still not married.
Yeah, and a lot of those men that are your age, they trying to get the 19-year-old. They trying to get the 21-year-old. You know, they're trying to get the, you know,
women need to wake up, you know, and them feminists, oh yeah, of course they're going to come to Fantasia because feminists is why we're where we are. You know, most of your feminists, I'm sure, aren't checking for men. So
y'all missed that.
And so,
She said the feminists ain't really checking for men. I think she just hit them with the pump.
Oh
no. Y'all better wake up.
Now that's a I feel like that's a misconception. In a small way. The reason why I say that is because me knowing what I know. Hello?
Yeah, we here. We live.
Okay. What I know is there's this thing called the sexual underworld. And I'm not gonna go too much into this, but all you gotta know is, you know, a woman, she's gonna get her needs met, you know, any way that she's gonna get her needs met regardless. So they got this thing called the sexual underworld, where a lot of these, you know, corporate women, a lot of these women, you know, who would be sexually frustrated because society deems them to be a certain way or whatever, and they still got needs. You know, you have these events and these parties and these, you know, sexual underworld type of events to where, you know, these women, you know, they're able to let their hair down and get their rocks off and stuff like that. And it's something that nobody really knows about like that. But then it shows you how a lot of these women can actually go back into the real world and be in their feminine and then still get their needs met on the low. And shout out to Ron Wills again, because he had videos talking about the sexual underworld as well, because that is a real thing. You know, these women, they're and I know you can attest to this statement that, you know, you're gonna get your needs met regardless. you know, no matter if everybody knows about it or not, because it's not nobody's business.
I agree with that. It ain't nobody's business but yours and who you dealing with. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, Tanya, do you have any last words before we get up out of here?
My last words would be, you know, I hope that this talk has enlightened some people. Please, you know, put you first. Love yourself. Take that time out to do your work to get it in so that you can meet the right person. We putting too much hate out here in the world, and start with you. We start with you.
I agree with that. Where can they find you at on social media?
At Great Girl Creative. And yeah, I mean, pretty much Great Girl Creative or Great. I'm elevating my life, so we're moving to Great Creative Studios here.
Hey, there it is.
Just so we can be more encompassing of the things we do. So, no, the Great Girl is she's still around.
Hey,
You know, but yeah, you can find me at Great Girl Creative and pretty soon Great Creative Studios.
All right. Rick, you got any last words?
Yeah, Miss Tanya, thank you so much for being on this show with us, you know, so we're able to have that balanced type of conversation. You know, I really appreciate all the things that you're doing, not only just, you know, being that wonderful parent, you know, just being a wonderful woman in general, you know, with your businesses and all of that stuff. And shout out to Godfather Tank D over here.
Hey,
for allowing me to be on here with y'all. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm glad I was able to get this done. You can follow me on all social media, Bandclap TV. That's BANDCLAP TV on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I have a podcast that I do as well on my YouTube channel. I talk about African spirituality. I talk about celebrities. I talk about men and women relationships and things like that. So, you know, definitely follow me on those and like and subscribe to Tank D's channel as well to hear more podcasts in this nature.
Hey, and once again, you guys can find me at Godfather_Tank D on your Twitters, on your Facebooks, on your YouTubes, and also make sure you subscribe to this channel, Living Black Life, where we live Black life because we are and will always be Black. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all, I appreciate you guys for listening to us tonight, and I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. As Yvette Carnell would say, please finish your libations. And we're going to ride out to this nice Godfather Tank D beat.